so.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
If you guys see me, hit me up.
Yeah. Yeah. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Take care.
Eidaa worked with her family on their saffron farm from a young age. The farmland had been gifted to her father for his proud military service. After a day of working on the farm, Eidaa and her father would go to the rooftop of their farmhouse, and in the cool evening, he would help her hone her sword skills. One day, while transporting their spices to the local market, bandits attempted to steal their produce. In an instant, Eida's training took over. Before they realized the young girl was a threat, she dispatched thieves to protect her younger brother. When the tales of a young warrior reached the Emir, he invited Eidaa to court. Her sword skills astonished him, and he instantly decreed that she would train to become a member of his Emiri Guard. Eida's training focused on obedience and unity. She practiced battle formations daily and was encouraged to refine her sword skills, and was taught the importance of defense as well as attack. Traditionally, it took male and female soldiers years to qualify as the Emir's personal bodyguard. Eidaa became the youngest member of this elite unit after demonstrating her ability to disregard her body's natural reaction and put herself in harm's way to protect others. A few years later, a new threat appeared from the west. The state attacked the Emir's lands, and Eidaa was soon to be embroiled in her first real battle. The attackers were relentless, sending wave after wave of deadly armor-piercing arrows into the ranks of Eida's unit. The state soldiers exploited a weakness in the center of the Emir's guard formation, and in the confusion of battle, Eidaa became separated from the Emir. A huge knight took this opportunity to break through the ranks and drag the Emir to one side. The Emir struggled to loosen the soulless knight's grip from his neck as he lifted him effortlessly into the air. Eidaa desperately fought to aid her lord and managed to kill the last of his soldiers in her path, just in time to witness the monstrous creature rip his ring finger from his hand and passively toss the Emir's lifeless body to one side. However, rather than break their spirit, the news of the Emir's death filtered through the battleground, empowering his soldiers to beat back the invaders. Reinforcements arrived and forced the enemy back into the sea. After many days of mourning the Emir, the newly appointed heir requested an audience with Eidaa in the war pavilion. Although beaten back for now, the new Emir recognized the danger posed by the state and wanted to be better prepared next time. He was going to dispatch spies and assassins to follow the retreating enemy. They were to harry them, gather intelligence, disrupt their activities in any way, and seek out new allies. In addition to this, Eidaa secretly vowed to track down the man who had killed the Emir. The new Emir unraveled an illustrated map and showed Eidaa the land she would travel. He had organized for her to voyage in secret, disguised as a crew member on a spice merchant ship. The merchant ship lay in a secret cove. There was a sense of unkemptness on board. Sails were poorly repaired, and the deck encrusted with brine. The ship was manned by a weather-worn crew that didn't take too kindly to strangers on board. Suspicious of the others, Eidaa quickly found a safe place to hide her treasured weapons. They journeyed westwards, working their way up the coast, stopping off at port towns along the way. Their main trade items included silks and saffron. As the merchants plied their trade, it allowed Eidaa time to visit countless taverns, picking up a vast array of stories about the state. Survivors recounted tales of soldiers pillaging their lands and slaughtering those who stood against them. Travelers told legends of outlaws stealing vast amounts of gold from the state's strongholds and returning it to the common folk. One wanderer relayed a bounty tale of a rogue soldier, Roger of Doncaster. and the description of his enormous size caught Eida's attention. After months at sea, they eventually arrived in the state heartlands. The state had a strong presence in the port. On entry, the merchant's crew were guided to a tavern, while the merchant paid the anchorage toll. In the warm, smoky confines of the tavern, Eidaa could listen to conversations between state soldiers. Eventually, she picked up vital information as to the whereabouts of Roger of Doncaster and his battles with a group of fighters that could prove to be valuable allies. Though outlawed, they seemed to be formidable opponents of the state. Eidaa had been on the road for days. When she finally arrived at the estate she had heard the soldiers talk of in the port tavern. It was the last known location of Roger of Doncaster, but by the look of the courtyard, whoever had been here had long since left. The place was eerily quiet and littered with debris. Eidaa pushed the heavy oaken door open. Inside, furniture was overturned. Ash and twigs filled the empty fireplace, but Eidaa noticed something shining at the back of the fire. She reached in and pulled out the ring of her beloved Emir. In that instance, she was overcome with a mix of shock and sorrow, which quickly turned to rage. She knew she was getting closer. At the edge of the forest, a wagon driven by a massively built knight careered past Eidaa, which urged her to turn back to the action. The monstrous knight ordered his soldiers to herd the prisoners to slaughter. One person tried to escape, but was caught by the throat. Eidaa recalled the battle against the state and recognized the sheriff's deathly grasp. The opportunity to abolish the Emir's killer arose. Eidaa readied her sword and charged at the sheriff, but he blocked the blade with his giant armored fist and ripped it from her. Then the sheriff knocked Eidaa to the ground by elbowing her face. Suddenly, smoke filled the air. Eidaa scrambled through the smog in search of her sword, while the large man thundered past her, brandishing a hammer. As the smoke lifted, a woman appeared from behind a tree, aiming a wrist-mounted crossbow directly at the sheriff's head. Each bolt found its mark, but bounced off the armor. Nearby, a hooded figure appeared, firing a longbow with deadly accuracy. She realized they were there to rescue the prisoners, and now her too. He paused to call out to her, but was struck by a crossbow bolt. Seeing he was in danger, Eidaa lunged forward. In one fluid motion, she picked up a discarded enemy shield to deflect more incoming bolts that would have surely proved fatal. The man in the hood offered Eidaa her weapon. They fought side by side long enough to ensure the last prisoners escaped. Then, as state knights arrived, she retreated with the outlaws into the refuge of the woods. Eidaa quickly became a valued member of the outlaws. She brought knowledge of science and chemistry from her culture that allowed the outlaws to create explosives. She taught them how to control the battlefield through the use of barriers and traps. Having found new allies, Eidaa is now working towards her ultimate mission. The sheriff's armor makes him almost impossible to kill in open battle. But there is more than one way to destroy a man and bring down a state.
Well, there we go. There's Eida's story. Let me see. Failed to load. I might have to restart the app, I believe.